Hi, this is Am here with the Bulletin Board Heroes, where charting comes first. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which seems to be buzzing like a bee at the moment, getting through the 50-day moving average. We haven't been back above there since the middle of the month, and the 50-day line there around 74.80 rather, and end-of-day close above that. We're looking for the market to get up to the top of that falling trend channel from back in February as high as 76.60. Ideally, that happens over the next week or two. RSI now just pushing above neutral 50 at 52, so that's a positive, especially if we get an end-of-day close back above the 50-day line. On to the DAX, and the story here is of a market which is trying to regroup after peaking out at the turn of the month. Here we've had an initial rejection of the 50-day moving average there, just below 16,000. Want to see an end-of-day close back above that to fill those that gap there from the beginning of the month and head back to 16,500. But the overall tone here okay, while we're above the floor of that rising trend channel from back in December at 15,800. Worst case scenario at the moment is we need a test of the 200-day line down there at 15,400 before the market can regroup. We haven't been below the 200-day moving average since back in November, so it's been quite a run. Onto the Dow, and here situation is that the Dow's done what we want the FTSE to do, i.e. close above the 50-day moving average. So that's at 34,600. We bounced off the floor of that rising trend channel from October last week, and we're looking for obviously a retest of the best levels of the summer towards 35,500. Maybe there's an initial resistance there at 35,000 because that was support on the way down, but while we're above the 50-day line, feeling quite chirpy, especially with the RSI above 50 at 52, and not expecting any weakness back below 34,150, which is the floor of that October channel. Moving on to Bitcoin, and after days of this market being very oversold, the RSI was below 20 actually at one point. We've managed to finally have the positive reaction off the floor of that rising trend channel from January, around 25,800. And we are now dancing with the 200-day moving average, 27,450. Want to see a proper end-of-day close back above that, which should hopefully be enough to get us back to the 30,000 area, which we lost at the beginning of this month. But it would be nice to end the month near the highs of the start of the month, as that would be a good monthly candle on the chart there. Moving along to the stocks. Starting off with Actual Experience, which is back after a while, after that spike we had back in July, the end of July. Bouncing off the 50-day moving average, it's a rising 50-day line. The rally started with an unfilled gap to the upside, in fact two, so this is a bona fide bullish situation, probably just looking for a break of 0.8 pence to then hopefully reinstate a target as high as 1.6 pence, basically retesting the July resistance. This stage only well below the 0.6 pence level, really delaying the idea of a recovery there. On to Belluscura, which is a positive win for the charting situation. Here we had an unfilled gap to the upside at the beginning of the month, which was noticed, and at that time we were looking for the 200-day line area around 45 pence, or at least the low 40s. We've achieved that. Next target is obviously that resistance there from back in January, 53, but the overall pattern here, a rising trend channel from March, and that could take us up to as high as 65 pence. By the end of next month. Ideally, we stay above that 200-day line at 43 in the meantime. Moving on to Bidstack, one of the shortest favorites. Hopefully, they're not laughing today. Let's see the charting position here. It's basically a gap through the 50-day line, which is around 0.83 pence. End of day close above the 50-day line. We're looking at for as high as 1.2 pence by the end of next month, which will obviously upset the bears if it happens. And ideally, we don't go back below the floor of the gap there at 0.78 in the meantime. The key is holding above that gap within that broadening triangle base. Moving on to EKF, which is looking encouraging at the moment. The reason for including it today is that we've had an unfilled gap to the upside. In fact, we may have had two unfilled gaps to the upside as we have. So it's a double bear trap gap reversal. RSI through 50. Looking for the 50-day moving average initially at 29 pence, but the big picture maybe as soon as the end of next month with that good setup is as high as 40 pence at the top of that broadening triangle from back in June. And we're feeling bullish while we remain above the old support there from March around the 25 pence level. So above 25, looking for 40 there on EKF. Future Metals is also on the upward trajectory at the moment. We had an upward gap to the upside last week, and then we've also got a break through the rising 50-day moving average now, so that's good. Recovery signals there. Bullish divergence line there as well. Initial target here 3p, hopefully over the next week or two, and then up to 4.5 pence, maybe as soon as the end of next month. That's a March resistance line projection, and obviously that takes us through the 200-day line up there at just below 4 pence. We haven't been above the 200-day line since April or May last year, so it would be quite a turnaround for the stock. Upside value while we hold above that 50-day line at 2.1 pence. On to GSTechnologies, which seems to be trying to revive itself. We've got a triangle base, converging triangle base, breaking through the 200-day line. We've already broken above the 50-day moving average. We've got an uptrend line in the RSI window. Want to break really 0.83, which is the top of the triangle, to give us a 1.3 pence target. Perhaps as soon as the end of next month, maybe we'll get the kind of move we had back in April if everything goes well. Upside value while we're above 0.7 and the floor of that rising trend channel from the end of June. Looked at Jadestone last week. I'm looking at again this week. Here we've broken that resistance line there from back in June. W-shaped reversal. We're just about to close that gap, or may have closed that gap there from the end of July. Initial target here up to 37 pence. If you're a fan of the shares and looking for greater glory, then the next level up would be up towards the 50 pence plus area, hopefully as soon as the end of next month. We've got the shares backed by bullish divergence as well, and that W-shaped reversal, a nice one there on the daily chart. On to mobile streams, where I haven't spoken to Mark Epstein for quite some time. But here we've got a falling wedge breakout. We've got the shares at 0.07, the breakout level. Initial target here up to 0.09. Top of the broadening triangle from March as high as 0.17, which could be a 2-month target, maybe by the end of October. But obviously it's early days there on the turnaround. But bullish divergence and the falling wedge break giving some encouragement there. Another potential recovery situation is the next stock, Mirriad. And here we've broken through the 50-day moving average and broken recent neckline resistance at 1.6 pence. Above that, looking for up to 2.1 pence over the next, probably by the end of next month would be a reasonable time frame there. And we could actually do a bit more than that. The best case scenario at the moment would be to head up towards the 200-day moving average and that June resistance line by the end of next month, but maybe that's pushing it a bit too far. Metals exploration is the next contender here, bouncing off the floor of a rising trend channel from back in December. The top of the channel heading as high as 2.8 pence, which is our target over the next, I suppose, 1 to 2 months, maybe again sometime in October. If we can close above 1.9 pence today, it would be a gap close buy signal, and that along with a rising 50-day line gives us more optimism regarding the 2.8 pence target over the near term. Only back below the 200-day line around 1.65, really delaying the upside scenario. Next up is a stock which I wasn't expecting to look at for quite some time, but it's Nostra Terra. It looks like there must be a bull market of Nostra Terra's rising. We bounced off the lows and through the 50-day moving average, which is now rising at 0.14, above 0.14, looking for 0.26. Maybe as soon as the end of next month. So let's see if Nostra Terra can step up to the plate. Always good when a stock hits a target line, and in the case of Plexus, that's what happened today. We were looking for 10 pence while we were above basically the 7 or 8 pence level, so that's done. Next level up, if the shares have the momentum to do so, would be up to 14, but we need an end of day close above 10 pence to open up the chance of 14 pence. A January resistance line projection. Upside still valid while we're above, I suppose, the 7 pence area, because that was a resistance on the way up. Stock which is also returning to the fold in the bullish section is Parkmead. Here we've got a rising trend channel from back in May. Top of the channel there is heading as high as 27 pence. We're looking for that to be hit by the end of next month, while we remain above the rising 50-day moving average now at 15 pence. So maybe that's a potential risk-reward situation that appeals to some. Some throwing of stones at Roquefort, but the shares seem to be bouncing well. We had a golden cross to start the week, which is nice. 50-day and 200-day moving averages, golden cross. And that should hopefully give the shares enough momentum while they're above 8 pence on an end-of-day close basis to head up to 10 pence, which is what we've been looking for. That would take the shares up to where they were at the beginning of last year. Shearwater making progress after the recent bullish announcement. Bear Trap Island reversal on the shares, so gapping down and then gapping up after making a new low. We've got the stock now above the 50-day moving average. Initial chart target here, 55 pence, at the top of that falling trend channel from back in February. And ultimate target here maybe by the end of next month or October, up to 70 pence, which is the top of that broadening triangle from back in March. On to the last two. First one is Tekcapital, where we've had a gap off the lows. So it looks like the shares have finally found a base here. RSI through 50 as well, uptrend line in the RSI window as well. Initial target just 11.25 pence, but if this is the low, then we're looking for 14 pence by the end of next month, which is the top of that rising trend channel base. Finishing off with perhaps a controversial choice, more acquisitions, and here looks like we've got a rising trend channel base. We've pushed through a rising 50-day moving average, and above that at the floor of the channel around 0.56. We're looking for 0.8 pence maybe over the next 1 to 2 months. If you're cautious, you'll wait for an end-of-day close through recent resistance at 0.62. That's it from me today. More updates tomorrow.